Listen, folks, this young lady, she's from Philadelphia. She's a single parent. Her son's name is Levi. Her background is a licensed therapist. She works with children, especially autism. Oh, that's a special lady, do special stuff. She resigned. Listen to this closely, very closely. Listen to this. Listen, Linda. Listen, listen. She resigned in June. Listen up, of 2017. Why? Because of residual income. God, that sounds so sexy. I got to say that one more time. She resigned, not quit, resigned, not fired, resigned in June of 2017 because of her residual income. That right there, I just dropped the mic right there. Without further ado, our guest speaker, Regional Vice President, Ms. Angelique Davis.
Mr. Thomas, let me say this. I'm trying to really hold back the giggles and the smiles because your energy, your jokes as well, sir, but your energy, I don't even know if I can match it. Like, I really don't. I'm sitting here like, wait, is this for real? And this is really for real. So thank you so much for the introduction. Thank you for having me on this incredible platform. When I tell y'all I'm honored, like I really am. You know how some people say it, but like I really mean it. And Mr. Clemens, let me say something. Thank you for reaching out to me. I saw that and I'm like, I got to make this happen. I'm a very hands-on and involved parent with my school, with my son's school. So a lot of times during the day, we're on the East Coast here, so it's a little after 12 here. They have me running around doing things. And I'm like, not today. Like, I gotta be on this call. So thank you both very much for the invitation. I am thrilled. I'm excited. I am, if you can't tell. And I'll get started. And I want to just ask your permission before I even get started. Mr. Thomas, Mr. Clemens, tell me I have permission to just have a very direct conversation with everyone. Like, it's leadership, but I want y'all permission. We good? Okay, got it. All right, I see the thumbs up. And I don't know how to do ACN in any other way other than to be honest and authentic. And I truly believe that that's why our organization has had the level of success that we have. Like, it's all passion. It is a lot of honesty, but I'm gonna tell you something. ACN is simple, but it's hard work, y'all. But it is so worth it to enjoy the fruits of your labor. It really is. And I discovered that. So I'm just going to weave my story into it, and I'll definitely cover the topics of closing out RD and RVP, and I'm going to share my strategies, y'all. I'm not going to hold anything back. I'm going to treat y'all like y'all my team. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to go all in. Why? Because my grandparents were from the South, and my grandmother always said, you close your fish, your blessings do not flow. You open them up, they're going to keep flowing. And so my goal, as all 64 participants that are on here today, my goal is that if at least one person walks away and nails RD and pops RVP, then I fulfilled my job. Like, that's my goal, because someone showed me how to get free. And what I mean by free, let me tell y'all what life was like for me 7 years ago. I'm gonna be completely transparent. 7 years ago, I took the traditional route. Again, my grandparents are Southern. Listen, we had to work. We had to work for what we have. You know, we did not come from money, and I'm not ashamed to say that. My grandfather had a military background. Y'all, we couldn't leave unless our beds were made and a quarter could be bounced off of it, okay? Like, like our house had to be tight. We didn't have a lot, but it had to be tight, okay? And so I was always taught, get a good education. Get a great education. Work hard. Nothing's going to come easy to you. Work hard. So that's been instilled in me really since I was a kid. And I am from Philadelphia, so I did my undergrad at Temple University. And I went on to pursue my master's degree in psychology and counseling. And then I became licensed, took the state exam, did a bunch of internships, practicums, worked under some really amazing clinical directors and psychologists in the city of Philadelphia. And I was blessed to have been running not one, but 4 different behavioral health programs out of the city of Philadelphia. 4. And it was amazing because I had a lot of responsibility, but it was a beautiful assignment in terms of empowering children with autism and educating parents on the hope and possibilities, even if you have a child that's a little different. Let's call it that, right? And I did that for years. And then let me tell you what happened. I became a mom. I became a mom. And how many of you are parents? Just show of hands really quickly. How many? Okay, got it. Got it. I see you, Miss Carter, Miss Johnson. Okay, I see you guys. And when you become a mom or a dad, right? Like when you become a parent, Miss Perry, Miss Heather, I see you. It just clicks, right? Like something, it's an outer body experience. It's definitely an inner body experience too, okay? But something just clicked, y'all. And I was like, oh my God. The last thing I wanted to do is continue a work week of 6 days a week, because that was my schedule. When I go all in, doesn't matter what I'm doing. If I love it, if I'm passionate about it, I'm all in. So even though schools were open and my programs were open 5 days, on that 6th day, I'm going in, cleaning up stuff and making sure these children have what they need. And I did that for double-digit years. Even though I'm from Philly, I live in Delaware. So my commute every day was an hour and a half up and an hour and a half back. So that was 6 days a week. So becoming a mom, I said, you know what? This can't be. I was literally crying and praying for something that night. Seriously, that was my story at night. I didn't know how I would transition. I didn't know. But I knew I needed to do something different in order to get home to my son. So fast forward, I'm going to say this. I got a call from an individual. His name is Jemai Robinson. And he called me, y'all, and he said, Angelique, well, he called me my nickname. I'm Mr. Thomas. I'm going to share my nickname. Don't tell anybody. Only keep it within the 67 people, okay? My nickname is Ouija, y'all. All right? Everybody got nicknames. Well, that's mine. So I know. What does that mean? It's so different from Angelique. That's another 2-hour conversation. So he called me and he said, Ouija, I figured it out. I got it. Look, I know you have a successful career, and this is a teachable moment. I know you have a successful career. I know you're really busy, but you got to stop what you're doing. You got to meet me in Starbucks today. I'm like, today? What do you mean? Like, I got so much going. He said, Ouija, I'm telling you, you have to meet me. You have to see what I'm doing. If you get a phone call like that with that much confidence and posture and excitement, you have no other choice but to be so intrigued, right? And he demanded, he knew my schedule. He demanded you stop what you're doing and you come and you meet me. You have to see this. What am I going to say? No to that kind of conversation, to that kind of excitement? So teachable moment, when we're inviting folks, whether it's to a Zoom meeting, whether we're open, the world is open again, so to speak, whether we're having coffee or doing something in person, an event, you have to have that much excitement. You have to demand that they say yes to you, because you could be missing your next RVP or SVP from the moment that you start to talk about ACN. Every minute, every second counts. So that's really important. I'll never forget the excitement and the posture that he had in that conversation. So clearly I made him in Starbucks, y'all. And I'm going to be honest. I'm from Philly, y'all. There's some stuff that go down in Philly, right? It's some stuff. It's some stuff. So my first thing was, Mr. Sam, I said, well, wait a minute. Is this legal? Like, is this for real? You know what I'm like? No, wait a minute. You're telling me that I could get paid off my bills. How is this possible? I spent $106,000 on my education. Not one of my professors, and I actually wrote them a letter too, and that's another conversation, but not one of my professors said, find a way to earn residual income. Not one. They taught me how to diagnose a child, write a treatment plan, how to do a proper assessment, how to put things in place for families and treatment and resources, how to work with someone with their skill deficits. They taught me all of it. I even took some business courses because at one point running my own private practice, right? In terms of being a therapist. They taught me all that, but not one said earn residual income. So again, I'm sitting in this Starbucks and he's like, listen, you gotta find a way to earn residual income. And I said, what's that? $106,000 later. And I said, what's that? Okay. So needless to say, I'm like, if this is real, this is my way out. This is what I was praying for. This is what I was crying about. This is my prayer. Like, this is my answer to my prayer. Levi and I, my son, we're going to get free in this company. That's what I said when I first saw ACN sitting in the Starbucks. Came to a second event and I bought 2 positions. That's another teachable moment. When you know something is good, when you get that gut feeling, you go all in. You go all in. And when I got started, it was $499. So in 5 minutes, they were talking about residual income. I said, oh, you can stop. Sign me up now. And then they started to talk about structure and positions and give me another position. Can I get another? They were like, well, wait a minute. wait a minute. So I bought 2 positions in one day, right? And then it was just off to the races. And here's what I vowed. I really made this promise to myself. If I'm going to bust my tail, and I say that respectfully, for my CEO and CFO, right? If I'm going to give everything that I have to these programs, and I really did, I really, really did, but I realized when I became a mom that I'm sending their children to the finest schools, that I'm sending them and their family on the finest vacations. Well, what about Levi? What's his future going to look like? I can't, even though my salary was attractive, I'm blessed to have been making an attractive salary, but he can't take that with him. And the moment I leave, or God forbid something happens to me, that stops everything. How am I going to secure his future? So again, I made a promise and I said, if I'm going to do ACN, I'm going to do ACN. And I'm going to get free in this company. Mr. Thomas, you'll know what I mean by this. The individual that did the presentation at the time was Regional Director, Mr. Anwar Miller. And at the end of the conversation, I said to him, I'm going to be in your position in a year. I'm going to be better than you. And he said, he's like, he thought it was the funniest thing ever. And he's like, you know what? Yeah, I heard a lot of people say that. Okay, good luck. Like, right? Like good luck. Yeah, go ahead, go for it. I said, no, I really mean it. Just teach me. I just need someone to show me. And here's the deal with ACN. We don't keep secrets on how to be successful and how to win in ACN. We just don't. I'm sure Mr. Thomas has poured tons of hours, years, and tons of Zoom time with you guys and poured into you to show you how to become a successful SVP. I remember seeing Mr. Thomas on stage. I'm gonna be honest, I remember hearing him first, right? Like I remember hearing him first before he walked on stage. And his voice I just gravitated to his voice. And I said, who is this man? Who is this man? His energy was amazing. I'm all about energy. I'm all about energy. If I feel something from you, that's it. Like I'm all about energy. And I remember Mr. Thomas just being so dynamic on the stage when we had these huge conventions in person, right? Thousands of people in this arena, and not one would be distracted when Mr. Thomas spoke. Not one. He pulled you in and you wanted to know who he was. What's his story? How did he do it? And the fact that you all are working with him, man, let me tell you something. When I tell you huge honor, y'all better grab this man. Y'all better grab a hold of him. You got to let your pride, you got to put that thing to the side. And if it's ego, you got to put that to the side. I'm going to be honest. I told you I'm going to be honest. I don't know how to give it to you any other way. But these are the things that I made the decision to do early on. Because you can't teach me anything really about children with autism. I'm comfortable there. I'm an expert there. But I didn't know energy. I didn't know how to build a team. I didn't know how to sustain a healthy business. I didn't know how to properly structure it. I didn't understand what it took to be in business for myself. So there was a lot of transitions, but I was so open to just being coachable. That's the one thing that I promised myself that I would bring to ACN, coachability. No matter how far I got, no matter how much money I made, no matter what positions I hit, coachability is everything. It's everything. And hunger. Lord Jesus. If you looked at my schedule, Mr. Thomas, you would think that I'm just starting out. Like I am still incredibly hungry, as if and I know I'm not going to talk money, but let me be clear. In June of 2017, my residuals was at a point that it covered everything. We're in 2022. But I still work as if it's July 31st, 2014. That was my start date. Why? Just because I got free and just because Levi got free, that's not the end of the mission. That's not the end of the mission. I have hundreds of people on my team. What about their children? What about their spouses? What about the people that I still have yet to talk to? That's the mission. It's multiple SVPs. That's the goal. Not me becoming an SVP, but it's multiple SVPs. In fact, when I conclude my calls, we say MSVP, multiple SVPs throughout our organization. We claim it, we call it, and it's going to happen. So those are the things I'd encourage you all to bring. Bring excitement when you're inviting. Be coachable. Bring hunger. Bring hunger. Bring a desire to win, because you all can win. And I'm serious, in ACN, you all can win. And there's enough to go around because of our amazing compensation plan. So I wanted to start there because these things are key. You have to know, listen, I'm not going to play around with this business. I'm not going to play around with this thing. And when you bring those characteristics, I'm telling you, you're going to win, especially under this leadership. Now let me transition a bit. Woo, y'all got me sweating. I'm telling you, and the air is going, okay? But let me tell you how I did it. As I'm talking in a conversation with Mr. Clemens, and I'm like, well, what subject can I really give everyone? Like, what's the thing that I thought that would really be beneficial? And I'm like, duh, closing out these big positions, right? Because that's where the bigger money is. So let's talk about how to close out these bigger positions. And hand of God, every single time I buckle down, I do the same exact thing. Mr. Clemens, I do the same exact thing. Miss Marie, the same exact thing. Mr. Randolph, the same exact sequence of events and strategy. So if you're taking notes, listen carefully. If you got lunch waiting, tell it to wait a little bit more. I'm going to be another maybe 10 minutes. This is important. Here's what I always do. Number one, I got a dry erase board and or poster boards all over my house. I always know my numbers. My direct mentor is Mr. James Adlam. He can call me at any time of the day, how many points to go. I know my number at all times. I know what my business looks like. I check my report multiple times a day. Why? Because it updates multiple times a day. So I always know my number. So if you all are running for RD or running for RVP, know your number. Have that number on a poster board, dry erase board, in multiple places in your home. My son and I have made games with these boards, right? And I'll talk about that in a minute. But have those boards pasted, posted all over your home, number one. Number two, you have to, listen, this thing is going to take you to become so unbalanced. It is. See, here's the deal. If you're a mom, right, Ms. Woods, that's right, know your number. If you're a mom, if you're a wife, if you're a working mom or dad, like, you know, I get it. You want to make sure all areas are tight. And I remember having lunch at the headquarters with Mr. Provenzano. And he said, that's not likely when you're running for these positions. It's not likely. You're not going to be the best wife, mom, cook. The house is not going to be clean. Like, you have to be okay with being unbalanced in certain areas. It's a season of sacrifice. That's it. That's it. It's just a short amount of time. It's a season of sacrifice. So I was okay if the laundry piled up, right? Like, I had to be okay. I have OCD, y'all. I love to clean. I love structure and organization. I do. But I had to be okay. And I would sit down with my son and I'd say, honey, it's time. Honey, it's time. It's time we go on a run, or we have to help someone else go RD, or we have to finish up RVP. So the point is, get the people that's around you in on your mission. Communicate with them up front. I've done that every single time. Communicate with them up front so that they understand what's going on. Here's the thing about that, and I'm going to be very honest. In that conversation, I have lost some friends, but oh, baby, I gained a whole bunch more. Hey, I got 71 new ones now on this call. You know what I'm saying? So that don't bother me, not at all. But that's the reality of things. You cannot bring everybody with you on these different levels. There's levels to it. You can't bring everybody with you. So you have these conversations. But then number three, and I mean this respectfully, this is what I did personally. You cannot maintain your same schedule. You just can't. You cannot maintain your same schedule as it relates to work. There were some days that when I was still working, I had to take off work. There were some days that, mommy had to give or ask my mom to step in to do basketball with Levi. I had to miss a couple of games, but that was totally worth it. And then you just got to run. You have to run. And the last thing I want you to understand is you have to really be able to manage your emotions. See, I believe, guys, that emotions stop promotions. Hands down. When you become so involved in your emotion, you can't really focus on the promotion and where you need to get to because you're all caught up in your feelings. So every single time I made sure that these things were in place and intact, and then I just went to work. And here's what work looks like. I am never afraid of the number. It is just a number. So if you have 200 points to go to close out RD, if you have 400 points to go to close out RD, it is just a number. And every time I went on these big runs, I had to remember who I was. Number one, I'm a mom. A whole human being came out my body. Why would I be scared of 200 points? You know what I'm saying? For those of you who have those of you who have accomplished major things, maybe you finished school, bought a house, some of you have served in the military. These things are huge accomplishments. Don't be afraid of the number. It is just a number. It is just a number. Don't be afraid of the number. Just run into it. And just little by little on that poster board. So if it's 200 points to go, language is important. Don't say away, to go. If you get an annual ID seal, right? No one's signing up for monthly, hint. No one's signing up for quarterly, hint, okay? We're focused on annuals. If you get a Vivid customer, 8 points, annual ID seal, 8 points. So it's 200, and I'm always putting underneath what I got done, -8. Now we're at 192. And here's the other thing. Track and pace yourself. Every single day, something had to go in. Every single day, my business stayed open. Christmas, New Year's Eve, Levi's birthday, which is Christmas Eve. Why would I close my online business? It doesn't even matter how I feel. It doesn't matter how I feel physically. Why would I close my online business? You keep your business open every single day because that's how you break down the numbers. Remember, it's all about the numbers, y'all. So you keep your business open every day. Every day I vowed, and not so much leaning on my team's production. Me personally, ACN took the hats off. They said, listen, you can go out based on your production, based on your personal customers. You can get these positions done. You don't have to wait on your team. You can get them done. So every day something had to change. My business could not look the same or I didn't go to sleep. That's the hunger that I was talking about. I was hungry for it. Hungry for it. And so with this kind of schedule, with this kind of regimen, with that kind of discipline, and it will take discipline. That's the last piece. It will take discipline. Listen, it's the summertime. Barbecues, we love to play Will Smith and have great food at barbecues, okay? Summertime is an anthem here in Philly. It is. But the barbecues won't get the bills paid. The barbecues won't get you home to your children. The barbecues won't have you sitting on, looks like some sort of marina where Mr. Thomas and Mr. Clemens are enjoying an amazing day. They will not get you there. And I understood that. So be disciplined in your approach. And with this, let me just be clear to give you all numbers. When I closed out regional director, right? When I was at what would be considered ETL, closing out regional director, this was the first time my belief elevated. I put in 79 points in 3 days. And that was because of a conversation that I had with Mr. Adlam. It was 3 days. I'll tell you a quick story. It was 3 days before we got to our national convention in Charlotte. It was in Charlotte at the time. And he said, well, are you going to close out regional director or TC? We called it TC back then. Are you going to close this out? And I said, well, yeah, maybe next time, like it's 79 points. We only have 3 days to get to Charlotte. Yeah, I'll figure it out next time. He's like, oh, this is a next time kind of conversation. You'll get it done next time. So I'm like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll get it done next time. So he said, let me ask you a question. If Mr. Provenzano said that Levi would be taken care of for the rest of his life, if the 79 points were done before you got to Charlotte, if you all have never met Mr. Adlam, this man has a way with words. Lord Jesus, let me just say. And so what do you say to that kind of conversation, Miss Johnson? What do you say to that? Miss Walker, what do you say? You say, well, absolutely. If Mr. Provenzano is going to make sure Levi is good, I'm going to make sure these 79 points get in. What did that man do? He took the lid off the ceiling. Like he really did. He elevated my belief in ACN. I'm so grateful to Mr. Adlam. I'm so grateful. And guess what happened? Guess what happened? Those 79 points went in 3 days, and I was promoted to a team coordinator at the time. In 3 days, using the same strategy. I'll give you another story. My first regional director, we put in 114 points in 2 days. My next regional director, we put in 123 points. It was Mother's Day. She shut down her Mother's Day celebration. She said, I'm a mom every day. I'm not a regional director every day. Let's get this done. We shut down our schedules. You cannot, again, you gotta be able to be disciplined. You cannot live and do the things that you're doing if you want to hit these different positions with momentum. We shut it down. We put in 123 points in about 3 days. So if you're looking at the trends, it started with 79 points, but I'm saying to myself, I know how to do this. I know that this can get done. I know it's just a number. Let's go. Because when you do it, Miss Williams, when you get to that position, Mr. Rick, when you get to that position, you break down all excuses. You break down all barriers. Now you can show your team. Now their belief is through the roof. That's the point. My brother, who's a regional director, same thing. We put in 120 some odd points in 2 days. And closing out RVP. Let me back up. Regional directors closing out over Zoom during COVID. About 140 points in a few days on Zoom. I went RVP in my pajamas on Zoom. I mean, I have a blouse up top, but I'm in pajamas at the bottom. That's RVP on Zoom. And if I'm not mistaken, we put in about 240 points in like 4 days. How did we do it? An insane amount of Zooms. We pulled in reps, but a bunch of customers as well. And that's how we use our Zoom meetings. You're not ready, 224? Oh, that's too much for you? I'm not convincing you. Do me a favor. Go and grab your bill. You're at home, right? Yeah, I'm at home. Okay, great. Do you pay online or paper? No, I pay online. Oh, that's great. Let me pull up my site and show you how to activate a fixed rate. Come on, let's get this done. This takes 2 minutes. All right, what's your address? Every Zoom meeting, you have to produce a result. Every Zoom meeting, whether it's a customer or rep. Why am I saying this? Because time is everything. Number one. Number two, I took time away from my son. Even if it's a Zoom meeting for 15, 20 minutes, I took time away from my son. Everything we need to do, we have to start to think we need to be paid for our time. A result needs to come from every Zoom meeting. And you all as leaders need to really understand that. We do something called breakout rooms in our Zoom meetings. Room number one, you're coming in, you want to make some money. I'm not talking about, the Warriors and the Celtics in room number one. I'm not doing that. They're already millionaires. I'm saying MasterCard or Visa in room number one. In room number two, I'm walking you through how to get your bill, because we do these meetings at home. You have access to your bills. We're taking immediate action to get customers. And that's how we've been able to close out RD and RVP with momentum. So hopefully, I think I'm done my time here. It's 12:35, Mr. Clemens. I was kind of watching the clock here. But when you talk about ACN, it's hard to stop. It is. It's hard to stop. I've fallen completely in love with ACN. Completely in love because it's been such an incredible blessing to myself and my son. It really has. And the last thing I'll say this, I'll close out. Don't you ever, listen carefully, don't spend your time trying to convince. Please don't do that. Don't water down ACN. Don't you dare do it. If you have to convince someone to earn residual income, red flag. They are not who you are looking for. Somebody is waiting for you to call them, Miss Belinda. Miss Carter, someone is waiting for you to call them, like right now. Mr. Ryan, someone is waiting for you to call them. Take immediate action. Put the things that we talked about in place today. I guarantee you, y'all going to be popping RDs and RVPs left and right. I promise you that. So with that being said, Mr. Clemens, Mr. Thomas, thank you all so much again for having me on. I am beyond honored and grateful.